You probably wondered how most college students easily survive in college when you can barely keep your own heads above the waters. You suck at budgeting and you need tips on how you can save costs as an undergraduate or a prospective student. Then be sure to keep on watching, because in this video I'm going to be giving you 20 plus cost saving tips for college students or university students. If you're finding it hard to make ends meet in college, you're not alone. Even without considering tuition fees and mandatory fees, college life is really expensive. Things like rising tuition costs and living expenses even makes it more challenging for students to stay on a budget. But that doesn't mean you have to be a starving student. There are plenty of great ways to save money in college. I've gathered over 20 plus cost saving tips for college and university students. And these tips can be fully utilized by even prospective students too. So without losing any more time, let's go! Eat less meat. So as a minimalist, it only makes sense for you to stay off eating meat. If you are a student and you want to save some cost, then set out days in a week where you don't eat meat. On those days, you can always improvise with things like crayfish, egg, or even some other protein-rich foods. You get to save money. Because as a matter of fact, meat is one of the most expensive things in the supermarket today. So why not just save cost by staying off meat for some days? Learn how to repair your clothes by yourself or pay someone to do it. 97% of students know how to sew their clothes by themselves using needle and thread. Instead of going to the tailor shop or whatever, just carry your needle and thread and start sewing. That way you get to save costs instead of going to the tailor shop and they'll start charging you. And if you're in a situation whereby you don't have chance to sew it by yourself, get someone to do it for you at a really cheap rate. Instead of taking a cab or a taxi, take a bus or a bike. So everybody knows that taking buses are way cheaper than taking taxis or ordering Uber or Taxify or whatever you call it. So as a student, minimize the way you take cabs or taxis. Always take buses. Everybody knows that is way cheaper. So save yourself those pennies. So if you agree with me that taking buses or bikes are way cheaper than taking Uber or Taxify, then hit the like button so I'll know you're on the same page with me. Get free haircuts or hairdos. All these barbers and hairdressing salons looks for students that will volunteer for their students or apprentices to use to practice. And every time this happens, it's usually free. So that way you can get a free haircut or a free hairdo. And this has a pro, a con. It is more likely that you're going to get a bad haircut or a bad hairdo. But if you are going for a really simple haircut or a simple hair like cornrows, then this tip is usually very helpful because it's usually very simple. When you want to go on something really cut, skin cut like this, this tip is very helpful. But if you cannot afford to do it, then you can just pass. Never grocery shop on an empty stomach. So usually when you're going shopping, when you're buying food and you're hungry, everything looks so delicious to you and you tend to buy more than you are supposed to buy, and that way you waste your money and time buying stuff you don't need. At the end of the day, that food will go to waste. That money that you used to buy it is already lost. I will advise you that anytime you are going for your shopping to buy your groceries, your food items, always make sure that you will have eaten and you are full. Plan days where you don't spend any money at all. So typically, most people cannot do without spending money in every single day. So I want you to know, tell me in the comments, have you ever spent a day without spending any money at all? Or you're the type that spends money to buy one thing or the other every single day? Let's talk about it in the comment section. Most often when you're in college, you're always very busy with lots of activities and you barely have time to rest. So on those kind of days, you don't have to spend money buying anything. And you always have food stuff already bought. So odds are that you already have food stuff that will last you throughout that day. There's no need buying stuff again now. So Always plan days where you don't have to spend any money. That way, you get to save money for the other days. You get me? Look for ATMs that don't charge, or ATMs that don't charge much. So typically here in Nigeria, almost every ATM charges. But I feel like some banks still don't charge when you use their ATM. But that is very rare. So I advise you to always try to stay off those kind of ATMs that run on high bank charges. So if you are in an unfamiliar environment and you don't know where your bank's ATM is, just type the location you are in Google Map and it will direct you to the nearest ATM of your bank around there. So try to limit going to ATMs that charge you 65 naira. Are you freaking kidding me? That will help you save costs. Bonus tip: swap things with friends. So typically you have friends, you have roommates, you have buddies that you guys have the same or similar taste in things like clothing items, games, books, jewelries, accessories and stuff like that. Most times you don't have to always go and get yourself new ones when you're tired of the ones you already have. You and your friends can bargain. Let's swap things. It could be temporary swapping if you know that you miss those items, and it could be permanent if you know that you are abruptly tired of these things. So that helps you save money instead of always going to get yourself new ones every time. And this tip is optional because not everybody is comfortable swapping clothes with their friends. So if you know that you're not comfortable swapping things with your friend, then you have to just pass on this tip. Drink more water, less soft drink, and much less alcohol. So when I resumed school, I was running on soft drinks like literally every day. So there's really this hot sun in my school. Not like this one that is currently shining on me. This one is just like little brother to that one. That one was so hot. And every day I have to trek from my lecture or to my hostel and stuff like that, back and forth every single day. And these things happen that I always come back very tired and always get myself soft drinks every freaking day, every day, 100 naira or 150 every day. That was a lot. I was spending a lot. So if you're in that kind of situation like me, always drink more water. Have bottled water with you anytime you're going out, so that you don't have to buy yourself soft drinks every time. And if you're the type that takes alcohol like almost every day, you should always try to minimize your intake of such kind of drinks because that is equally very expensive. That way you get to save costs. You get me? Buy things far in advance or off season. So if you need a coat in winter, buy it in summer. If you need an AC or a fan in summer, buy it in winter. Do not wait for when these things are in high demand before you get them. If you know that you will need them this time, buy it when it's cheaper, when people are not really buying, when people are not really demanding for it very much. That way it helps you save costs. The trick here is to plan well in advance. Embrace second-hand or thrift store. See what they call okrika, tokumbo, second-hand, fairly used, all that thing. Embrace it because it's way cheaper than buying brand new. And it's not every time you need brand new. Most of the time, these second-handed items, these fairly used items, they are even almost like brand new. The only difference is that someone has used it and decides that they want to sell it. You can get authentic things like electronics, furniture, can even buy your couch there, your beddings, bed sheets, Macintosh, a list of them, even stationery items, they have it there. Most of the time, students often tend to buy clothes more. So you can get really quality clothes from thrift stores and shops and second-handed items or pre-owned items. Buy foods that last longer. So it has been scientifically and emotionally and physically proven that when you buy foods that last longer, you tend to save yourself pennies and coins and money and dollars and nairas. So instead of buying foods that maybe like after 2 days or 3 days it will spoil, always try to buy foods that last longer. Foods like yam, buy rice, buy beans, buy crayfish, buy okporoko, buy eja gbigbe, buy atarodo, grinded atarodo dough. Buy and cook groceries with roommates. So if you're in a hostel and you have roommates and you trust them and you guys are buddies, you can save yourselves coins by pulling the grocery budget. So typically this one brings money, bring money. You self, you bring money because everybody generally just contributes. And if you guys have similar things that you need to get to the market shop, then you can just put your money together and go buy it in wholesale. Is that what they call it? Just generally go and buy it together. That way you notice that you save yourself some cost. And sometimes you and your roommates could basically cook together and eat together, and if you notice it, that helps you save. That's wise, niggas. Bonus tip: sell things when you're done with them. So basically, I know that there are some sites online, there are some websites online that allows you to sell clothes that you've used before, maybe like you've used once or twice and you don't like it anymore and you feel like selling them. There are buyers like that. There are people that buy stuff like that. That's what I'm still talking about, thrift shopping. So basically, you gain some money by selling some of the things that you have that you don't need anymore. So if you bought a book in your first year and you're now in your second year and you don't need that book anymore, why not sell the book to a junior in that first year? That way, you guys are gaining. You are selling that book to the students at a cut price, and the students is buying it. It doesn't limit to books and clothes. You can sell out gaming, equipment, sports. My English is all over the place, but I hope you understand. Look out for cheaper network providers. So basically, as a student, you shouldn't be caught using MTN. You shouldn't be caught using MTN. MTNs are for rich people. MTNs are for people that are living their best life. So as a student, as someone that is trying to save costs, you shouldn't be caught using MTN. MTNs are so expensive to use. As a student, please use Glo. The only time that you might not want to use Glo is if and only if Glo network is not in your dorm, Glo network is not in your campus. But if that isn't the case, then please switch to Glo if you're not already using Glo. Glo is cheaper for SMS, for data, for calls. And if you have any other network that you know that is cheaper as well, then why not hop on it? Don't worry, this video is not sponsored by Glo. We have not gotten there yet. We'll soon get there. Okay, I'm just giving it as a tip which will be very helpful to you. Do what you can to keep utility bills low. So when you're not in your hostel, you don't have to leave your light on, you don't have to leave your fridge plugged, you don't have to leave your fan on, you don't have to leave your AC on. Please always switch them off. If not, everything will be consuming unnecessary electricity, and at the end of the month you have to be paying for things that you're not even using. So to help you save costs, please and please always turn them off when you're not around. Always turn them off when you're not using it. If you need a healthcare procedure, look out for cheap options. Basically, when in Nigeria, we know that general hospital costs way less than private hospitals. And if you need a operation, or you're just basically sick and you need to run some checkups, tests, all those miscellaneous things, then I would advise you to always opt for the cheaper option. If your school does not have an hospital, in a nutshell, just go for the cheaper option. We're trying to save some costs here. You heard the sound of that coin. You want to save them. Beware or be aware of all the scholarships and grants available to you. You know, tuition fees are really expensive. So if you can get that load off your shoulder, off your parents' shoulder, off your guardian's shoulder, that is a really big time, like literally the bombest and biggest cost saving tip ever. So always be on the lookout for scholarships and grants available to you. You can check out myschool.com. There are always updates on scholarships and grants available to all students at the different levels of education they are. You know, in the previous tip I told you to minimize the use of cabs and taxis and you should take buses. Now another tip is minimize the use of public transport, aka bus and trek. See, in this age, one thing that is really raining is Benz. And in fact, everybody has Benz, but some of you don't know that you have Benz. So there are basically two types of Benz. There's Mercedes Benz and there's Legacy Benz. Mercedes Benz is the one that people drive. Like this bench is the one you use your leg. Trek. You're not going to die, you're not going to faint. Please trek, that helps you save costs. You don't always have to take buses and bikes everywhere you go to. Some places you can trek, like from your room to your toilet. Look up bus. Bonus tip. See how much your parents or extended family members can help you with. So this tip is bonus because it's optional. If you're the one sponsoring yourself in school and you need to save or help yourself in some certain way when things are really choking you, always ask for help from your parents or your guardian or your sister or your brother or your extended family or your great grandma or your landlord. Basically, just ask for help. You will not know if they'll give you unless you ask. There's no harm in asking, but in some cases there could be harm. So if your parents are paying your school fees, what help are you asking for? That's why it's optional. Thank you. Have roommates. So having roommates comes with pros and cons. So the advantage of having roommates means splitting of bills. And my other tip from before, which is the grocery budget, that also helps if you have a roommate. If you don't have a roommate, fam, that tip is just basically void for you. You cannot do it. But when you have a roommate, you get to split bills, you get to split costs, you get to save money. And the cons: attend unis or college in a low-cost city. So schooling in Abuja or in Lagos costs way more than schooling in Enugu. You know that. Enugu is kind of a bushy environment. But that's not just it. Basically, things are more expensive in these places I've mentioned than maybe like in Kaduna, in Jos, in Port Harcourt, in Benin. That's basically it. The cost of living in these big cities like Abuja and Lagos comes off as a disadvantage to students. So my tip is school in a low-cost city. Attend a college in your state. It only helps you save more if you're schooling in your state. Almost every time you have more opportunity of getting admission in schools in your state because you're an indigene. You get this origin stuff. Federal or state-owned universities are way cheaper than private universities. So if you're schooling in your state, go for the ones that your pockets can carry. Always look out for tuition fees of different universities before considering them. In fact, before you consider a university, you have to look at their overview, the cost of living, the expenses, the tuition fees, everything that comes from that very university. So always make your research right. Always look out for the cost of living in that particular state you are going for, and the life hacks you can practice as a university student. And if you're interested in getting yourself acquainted with the necessary and best life hacks any college students can practice, then click on this video right here, because I'm going to be telling you the best and life-saving life hacks that have saved me as a college undergraduate. So click on this video right here. I'll see you right there. Click.